Hey everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing something that I think is pretty cool, which is I'm going to attempt to add a joystick connector to this Radio Shack Tandy TRS-80 MC-10 microcolor computer. Now if you're familiar with the MC-10 computer, then you'll know that it is the baby brother to the regular Radio Shack line of TRS-80 color computers, and you'll probably also be aware that it has no joystick or controller ports on it of any kind. And if we take a look at the edges here, we can see this edge has no ports. The front side has no ports. The other side has only an on-off power switch. And the back side, it does have some ports. And if we just go through them, you'll see there's an AC adapter port. There's the RF TV connection. There is the card edge expansion slot, a reset switch, and then finally a serial I/O port and a cassette port. So obviously no controller port, no joystick port, but I did find online, I think it was in the MC-10 computer group on Facebook, that there is a circuit right here that apparently allows you to easily add a joystick to this computer. Now you might be wondering, okay, what's the catch? Well, it turns out there is a catch, and actually there are two catches. One catch is that with this circuit, although we can add a regular Atari style joystick to the computer, it will only allow it to operate with two directions plus the fire button. And that might be limiting in some ways, which of course it is, but there are still plenty of games that can be played with two directions and the fire button. Space Invaders games, scrolling shooter type games, all kinds of games can be made using just two directions and the fire button. And of course, if we're designing our own games, then we can program it any way we like. So that's one catch. The other catch is that existing games obviously are not written to take advantage of this modification. They're not written to read the joystick from this device. So we would need to modify any existing games to make it work with this new joystick adapter. Although a basic program shouldn't be very difficult to modify, and of course if we're designing our own games, we can program it however we like. So this circuit that we're going to build is designed to connect to the serial port right here, and it should be fairly straightforward. All we should need, if we take a look at the diagram here, there are two diodes, D1 and D2, plus three switches here for the two directions plus the fire button, and they simply connect to pins 1, 2, and 4 of that serial port. And over here it shows the code that you would need to read the input from the joystick, and here it shows you what type of diodes to use. It says D1 and D2 are two diodes of type 1N914 or 1N4148. So I happen to have some diodes right here, which are 1N4148 that I'll be using, in addition to a connector which is a round 4-pin DIN connector, which should fit the serial I/O port on the back of the computer. And if I plug it in here, we can see it fits perfectly. So there are a couple different ways that I can build this device. What I could do is take an existing joystick and cut off the plug on the end and replace it with the DIN connector. Or I could take a partially built joystick, like this one for example, that has no connector on it at all, and simply put the connector on the end of that one. The disadvantage to that, of course, is that those joysticks would be dedicated for use on the MC-10 computer. So what I'm going to do is build an adapter that will allow me to use any Atari style joystick with this computer. And the way I'm going to do that is by taking a DB9 extension cable here that has a female plug on one end, 9-pin, and a 9-pin socket on the other end. And then I'll simply cut off this female connector on this end and replace it with the DIN connector, and then I should be able to plug any regular Atari style joystick into this port and use it with the MC-10 computer. Now, if we take a look at this circuit again, it looks very simple. So there's, like I said, only 3 switches, 2 diodes, and they connect up to pins 1, 2, and 4 of the serial I/O port on the MC-10 computer. And if you take a look in the manual that comes with the MC-10 computer, here it includes a diagram of the serial RS-232 I/O port. And here are pins 1, 2, 3, and 4 right here. So it should be fairly simple to construct this device. And now what I'm going to do is get my soldering iron ready, get the parts ready, and we'll go ahead and build this joystick adapter and we'll test it out and we'll see if it works. Alright, so I finished soldering up the wires to the connector and I'll show you what it looks like here. There is our 4-pin DIN connector, and I've soldered 2 of the diodes to 2 of the pins. Those are pins 1 and 2, and then at the back there's a blue wire going to pin 4 at the back. So now we just need to connect it up to the computer, and I'll have to figure out how I can capture the screen and do some testing, and we'll see if this thing works. So before we go ahead and do some testing, I'll just show you how I've got it connected up to the computer here. So here's the MC-10, and I haven't assembled the cover for the connector just so I can see what's going on in there, and in case it doesn't work. I've just got it plugged in there kind of gently at the moment. So I'm going to probably just use this regular joystick, and I'll plug it into this cable here just like that. So now I've got my joystick connected up to my computer through this adapter that I've made, and now let's connect it up and run the program and we'll see if it works. Alright, here we go. I have my MC-10 connected up to my joystick here, and we're going to test it out and see how it works. So I've just put the screen into orange mode so it's a bit more viewable on the camera. And okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So there's only 3 instructions for reading the joystick and then 1 to enable it. So I'm going to make a quick program here by typing 10, and then the first instruction is poke 3,0 to enable the joystick, and then we need to read the joystick by typing 20 JS. That's just the variable name that I'm using, JS for joystick. JS equals peak 3. Peak 3 in brackets like that. So that will read a value from the joystick. And then so now let's print the value on the screen. I'll type 30, print at, let's say, 70, comma, JS. And then I'll just print a couple spaces after it as well, just in case there's any extra digits we need to get rid of. Enter. And then finally, I think before this program runs, I'll just put a clear screen at line 5, CLS, just like that. So if I clear the screen and list our program, there it is. Line 5 clears the screen. Line 10 enables the joystick with poke 3,0. Line 20 reads the joystick, and then line 30 prints the value on the screen. So let's go ahead and run it and see what happens. Okay, so we're reading a value of 78 with nothing happening with the joystick. It's just not doing anything. And 78 should indicate that there's no movement happening on the stick. So now, if we press to the right, we should see a value of 74. Oh, I forgot to, I guess I need to make a loop because the program is finished running here. Okay, a little mistake there. Okay, so I need to loop back 40, go to 20. There, and we'll try that. Run. Okay, now we have value 78 for nothing happening on the joystick. Now if I push to the right, I should get a value 74. And there I do. Cool. And also the way I've got the joystick wired up is I have right and down doing the same thing. So down should also give me a value of 74, which it does. And then left and up should also both produce the same number, which would be 70. And there it is, 70. 70 for left, and I push up and I get 70 as well. And then finally the fire button should give a value of 66, which it does. So cool. I think this is a really cool thing. Now we can have joystick games, even though it's only 2 directions. That's better than no directions. So there we go, a joystick on the MC-10 computer. Cool. Okay, so I've gone ahead and made a little program to test out the joystick as we might use it in a game. And so I've called this game Joystick Bomber. It just prints a little plane on the screen, and we should be able to use our joystick to move it left and right, and also to drop a bomb. So let's go ahead and start. I'll press a key to start, and there's our plane. So if I move it right and left, and it's quite responsive. It moves quite quickly for a simple basic program on the MC-10. So moving left and right moves our plane along the screen, which is really cool. And now let's drop a bomb. There we go. So we can move along and drop bombs using our new serial joystick interface adapter on our microcolor computer MC-10. So I think that's pretty cool, and I can't wait to start making some games using this new joystick interface. Okay, so apparently I'm not done with this video quite yet, because I thought of something else that I might want to do, which is, since the joystick can only operate in 2 directions at one time, either left and right or up and down, the way I have the joystick wired up right now is that left and up perform one action and right and down perform one action. So I thought it might be a bit confusing if you're playing a game and whether you press left or up, it does the same thing. So I thought it might be good to have a way to select which directions you want to choose. So what I'm planning to do is put a switch in line with my adapter cable here. So here's the adapter cable for the joystick. And I thought what I might do is put a switch in the middle of it that allows you to select which directions you want to use, either left and right or up and down. So I think I have all the parts to do that now, which basically all I need is some sort of enclosure, which I have this little project box here, and a switch, which I'm planning to use a toggle switch just like this one. So then I can wire it up to this project box, and then we can switch whether we want to use up and down or left and right. So that's what I'm going to do now, is build this selector switch that I'm going to put in line with my cable, and I'll come back once I've done that and we'll test that out and see if that works. So stick around and we'll be right back. So I've got my switch now connected in line with my joystick adapter cable, and I'll just show you the wiring, not that you're going to really be able to see. Alright, so this is what it looks like in the back. I've just wired up the 4 contacts of the switch. It's a double pole, double throw switch, so it switches the wires 2 at a time from the input or the output. Alright, so I've got my joystick adapter cable connected here to my MC-10 computer. You can see there's my joystick, and it goes through this adapter cable here with my new switch on it to select which directions I want to use, and it just goes in the back there to the serial port. Alright, so let's go ahead, and I'm going to just type in a program here to test it out. So we can see at line 10 we issue a command poke 3, 0, That enables the joystick. Line 20 clears the screen with CLS. Line 30 reads the joystick value and puts it into a variable called JS. Line 40 prints the value JS, which is the value read from the joystick. And then finally line 50 loops back to line 30 to read the stick again. So let's go ahead and run it now. RUN. Enter. Okay, so we have a value of 78 being read right now. So 78 is the value when the stick is not doing anything. And right now, I haven't labeled it yet, but this should be in the position to read the left and right directions. So I'm just going to move left and right on my stick here, left and right, and we'll watch the screen and see if it changes. Okay, 78, so I'll press left and nothing happens, and right, nothing happens. Let's try up and down. Up and down, nothing happens. So it seems that I made a mistake in my wiring. I'll have to go back to the drawing board and see what I did wrong. Okay, I'm back. So I think I found the issue. At least I'm hoping I found the issue, which was I was so concerned about making sure I connected up the right wires to the correct positions on the switch that I forgot to connect up the other wires which don't connect up to the switch. When I cut the cable in half, obviously I cut all of the wires, but not all of them need to connect to the switch. So here the blue and green wires, they just get reconnected to each other, which I have now done. And hopefully this should work now. But so this is the circuit I used to build my joystick adapter for the MC-10 computer. And there you can see the instructions to make it work. Okay, and over here is the switch. Here's a double pole, double throw switch, which is what I have right here. So you can see there's 6 pins on the switch, but I'm gonna reconnect it up now into the serial I/O port. And now I think my switch should be in the left-right position. So here we go. Let's run the program now. Okay, and we get 78, which means no action on the joystick. And now I'll press to the left, and hopefully I should get a reading of 70. Oh, and there we go, 70. Now I'll press to the right, and that should give me a reading of 74, which it does. So now let me press up and down and just make sure they have no effect. So up does nothing, down, and I'm having no effect on my joystick reading. So now let's go to my switch, and we'll flip it over to the other position, which should read up and down now. So now when I press up and down, I should get a reading. So let's take a look. When I press up, I should get a value 70. Oh, and there I do. And down should give me 74, which it does. So it looks like my switch is working perfectly. I'll just press left and right here to make sure I get no change, which I don't. No change going left and right. And now we'll press the button, and that should give me a value of 66, which it does. Perfect. So my joystick adapter cable seems to be working perfectly. Great. Okay, so I finished testing my joystick adapter cable, and I would say it's a big success. It seems to work really well, and I'm excited to start making some games that use this. And actually I've already started working on a game that uses a joystick, and I think it's going to be something a bit different and kind of cool, something that people who are familiar with MC-10 games might not be expecting, and I think it's cool anyway. So I'm going to share that with you when the time is right. That'll be in an upcoming video, but for now I would say that this joystick interface cable for the MC-10 computer works really well and is a success. So there you go. That's the video for today, and as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.